Hello everyone and welcome back to Ruby Lessons on Codecademy. So in the last lesson we looked at mathematical comparators, so equal to, not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than and greater than or equal to. If you missed it, make sure to check it out because in this lesson we're going to be looking at something similar, but you will see what I mean. So comparators aren't the only operators available to you in Ruby. You can also use logical or boolean operators. Ruby has three. You have AND, so marked with two AND symbols, or two pipe symbols, and NOT, an exclamation mark. As we saw previously, the not equal to operator is marked with an exclamation mark and equal to. And that's similar here, not. Boolean operators result in the Boolean values, true or false, just like the previous operators as well. So equal to or not, less than or greater than. Those also return a Boolean value. But these actually make a bit more sense because they are logical, and logical means true or false. The Boolean operator AND only results in true when both expressions on either side of AND are true. So you have to have this and that to get true. If one of them is false or both of them are false, then it's false. So here's how AND works. You have true and true as comes out as true. True and false comes out as false. False and true comes out as false, and false and false comes out to false. There is also another operator which isn't. You might find it in some other places. AND, so exclusive AND. That would return true even if both of them are false because they're both the same. But in programming we won't be dealing with that. Or not in this case anyway. So for example, 1 less than 2 and 2 less than 3 is true because both sides are true. Instructions. Let's practice a bit with AND. Check out the Boolean expressions and set each variable to true or false depending on what value you expect the expression to return. So we have 77 less than 78. That's true. 77 less than 77, well that's false. So because this side is false, it has to be false. And this side isn't true, though, well this side would be true if there was an equal to there, but because there isn't, it is false. Let's look at Boolean 2. We have true, okay, we are comparing true to 100 greater than or equal to 100. Well, this statement is true, this statement is true, therefore this boolean is going to equal true. Boolean 3. 2 to the power of 3, so this isn't 2 multiplied by 3, it's to the power of 3. That would mean 8 equal to 8. Well, 8 is equal to 8, therefore that statement is true. Then we have 3 to the power of 2. That is 9, equal to 9, that's also true. Therefore this statement is going to be true, because both sides of the AND are true. Let's say we submit code, and good, our logic was correct. Moving on. Then we have the OR. So, just like in normal life, OR would mean that you have, if one of them is true, the output is going to be true. If both of them are true, the output is again going to be true. So, Ruby's is called an inclusive OR because it evaluates to true when one or the other or both expressions are true. Check it out. So you also have exclusive or XOR. So XAND, as I mentioned before, means exclusive AND. XOR means exclusive OR. It would mean that when you have true and true, it's going to also evaluate to false. That's an exclusive OR. So, and instructions, set each variable to true or false depending on what value you expect the expression to return. So as you can see for OR, everything except false or false evaluates to true. False or false evaluates to false because there is no true. There is no truth in false and false. False or false. So you have Boolean 1. We are comparing this to this. So we have 2 to the power of 3, that is 8. 3 to the power of 2 is 9, so those are not equal, therefore that is true, and this is also true. Well, actually, we didn't even have to evaluate that, because if one side is true, it has to be true. But in the next case, we do have to evaluate it. So false or, so we can't get it to work from this side, but we might be able to get it to work from this side. Is -10 greater than -9? No, it's not. So we have false or false, therefore this is false. In the third case, we have false or false, so that's going to be false as well, because false or false evaluates to false. Send and submit, and that is correct. Let's move on. Then we have not. So finally, Ruby has the boolean operator not, or exclamation mark as it is marked. So exclamation mark makes true values false and vice versa, so false values true. If you do not true, it means false. Not false means true, just like in real life. It's quite logical, which is why they are called logical operators. Instructions. Set each variable to true or false depending on what value you expect the expression to return. The expression not true, if something isn't true, it's false. If something isn't true and isn't true, then it's false. Because you have false and false, so it's false. Boolean 3, so we have the brackets. Just like in mathematics, you look at the brackets first. 700 divided by 10 is 70. So that takes precedence, so that has a... So if you think of bitmass, division, even in this case, has a higher priority than comparison. So 700 divided by 10 is going to be 70. 70 equal to 70. True. Not true. False. So you have to break it down into steps if you want to find out what the outcome of these is. So also, as I talked about which one has priority, if you did 10 equal to 70, that's false. But then you can't divide 700 by false, so you would get an error. Which is, they would normally put, if you were going to get an error, you should probably put brackets there. But because of how priorities work, it's not going to get an error in here, so it's going to be fine. And as you can see, we did them all correctly. All of them are false. Let's move on. Combining boolean operators. So this is where we talk about which one is better than another, or in a higher priority on the list. You can combine boolean operators in your expressions. So combinations like this are not only legal expressions, but are extremely useful tools for your programs. You will see once you actually start programming, making more complicated programs, why these can actually be quite useful. Especially when you're using if, else if, and else. Well, not in else, if, and else if. Or unless, however you want to do it. So these expressions may take some getting used to, but you can always use parentheses to control the order of evaluation. So if you're not sure about something, do use parentheses, don't risk it. Expressions in parentheses are always evaluated before anything outside parentheses. So last one, set each variable to true or false depending on what value you expect the expression to return. So 3 less than 4, that's true, or false. Well, because one is true, that's enough to get a true. Oops, actually no, we have that. So the left side of the and is going to be true. The right side of the and, let's see. False or true? Well, we have a true in there, so it's going to be true. So we have true and true. That's going to evaluate to true. Boolean 2. Not true. That's false. And because we have an and, false and anything else is always going to return false. So we don't even have to evaluate this. But if we were to evaluate it, let's look at it. We have 5 to the power of 2. That's 25. Okay, so I think this one gets before or. So we have 100 not equal to 25. That's true. So not true or true, we get true on this side. So this is going to be false and true, but because we have a false in here, we evaluate it to false. As I said before, you don't actually need to evaluate this, but if we were to, you would get true, unless I made a mistake in there. Boolean 3, true or something. Well, because we have true and an or, we can automatically say it's true. But just for the heck of it, I am going to evaluate this as well. True or false, that's going to evaluate to true. Not true is going to be false. True or false, it's going to evaluate to true. Send us submit code and we are done, and that is correct. So if you have any questions about this lesson or any of the other lessons, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will answer your question as soon as possible. Other than that, if you enjoyed watching this video, then do please give it a like, share and subscribe. It encourages me to make more videos. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.